guys. Hope everyone's doing well today. This is part of our Etude series. We are now on to number 4 out of the 70 progressive studies for bass trombone by Gillis. Again, this is a great bass trombone book to work on low range for us euphonium players or tenor trombone players, and just a great general book for bass trombone players themselves. So let's take a look at this exercise. As always, before we get started, a couple things to keep in mind. Down below in the description, you're going to see 3 different things. First off, it's going to be a link to the book if you don't already have a copy. Second thing you're going to find is going to be a link for a free copy of the warm-up book, which is my warm-up routine and everything that I do each and every day to help guide you on what you can be doing to improve your playing. And last but not least, there will be timestamps to separate the video. We will, as always, break this into 3 parts. First, we're going to start with just kind of a lesson, talking through some things, keeping in mind different aspects of our playing for this etude. Second thing is going to be a little bit of counting that we'll work on. And last but not least, we will end with just a top-to-bottom performance of the etude. So let's get started. As always, make sure that you have numbered your measures. And before I keep going a little too far here, make sure, as always, you give us a like, comment below if you have any questions or concerns about this, or you think that other things would be helpful. If we're always open to new ideas, be sure to subscribe and also click that notification symbol as well if you want to be notified when more of these etude videos are coming out. So let's get to work. Here we go. Gillis number 4. The first place we're going to take a look at is going to be measures number 10 and 11. We're actually going to pair these two up. Now, this etude is written in 3/4. So we have 3 beats in the measure and the quarter note gets the beat. So typically we would actually be counting this as 1 and 2 and 3 and. But the way it is written in its groupings of 3 and 2 throughout the piece, sometimes it actually gets a feel more like 6/8, where we have 6 beats in the measure and the 8th note's going to get the beat. So what we're specifically looking for in measures 10 and 11 is that in measure 10, for the first time on the page, we're going to get groupings of 2, 1 and 2 and 3 and, but then into measure 11, it's going to go back into the groupings of 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So we need to maintain consistency of quality and sound, articulation, spacing, despite the fact that it's going to feel 2 versus 3 against one another in these 2 subsequent measures. So let's try it out a little bit slower than normal tempo. Let's take a look. All right, make sure we're digging into those lower notes on the low C, and as always, blowing through consistently. The key is also not to cheat the system and use a metronome for this. You need to be able to internalize the pulse and the separation of rhythm so that it stays that way when you're performing and you don't get the luxury of a metronome or any other kind of crutch to help you along the way. Now let's move on. Let's jump now to measure 16. This is, again, after a number of measures where we have sets of 3, we're going to now jump here, and we're going to also be going down to a low F. So 2 things we're looking on this is going to be that this rhythm for the measure is going to be quarter note on beat 1, 1, 2, and 3. We want to make sure that we don't compress our 8th notes or let them get a little bit weird, because we are going from a feeling of 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3 into a 1, 2, and 3. And that is going to be a little bit weird feeling as we're playing through, especially if you're not looking ahead in the music. So let's try it out. Let's start actually on, we'll back up one measure, measure number 15. So first measure of the 4th line, we're going to take a look there, play those set in sequence into then measure 16. Make sure that low S has good articulation, good power, good support. As always, make sure we're playing consistently. Here we go, nice and open, lots of air. Now, for some of you, you may find that it's easier to count this all the way through in 6. For some of you, it may be easier for you to count this in 3. What we're going to do in a minute here, when we do move over to the counting section, we're actually going to count this both ways. So you'll find out what you like better, but it is actually a different feel and a skill that you need to develop to be able to play in both options, because you never know which style you're going to get in a different piece, a different etude, a different setting for the music. All right, now let's move on to a 3rd section. This is going to be literally just the last 2 measures of the piece. These are measures 23 and 24. This is going to be a nice descending scale pattern ending on the low F. Now, what we're listening for here is making sure that we're blowing through the phrase and not letting the notes just kind of get lazy or sag at all as we descend, because it is not going to be the most difficult thing we've played all day today. But it is going to be something that if we don't give it support and good quality, it will get inconsistent, it will get a little bit mushy. So really nice clear attacks and articulations, good separation between the notes, good length on the notes themselves as well, and as always, a fantastic sound. So let's try it out, just the last 2 measures. Here we go. Now on the fermata at the end, I don't care how long you're going to hold that note out, I want you to focus again on its quality. If the note sounds great, you're more than welcome to hold it out. If the note is starting to slip or not sound as well, or if you're not feeling very good about the way it's feeling to play the note on your personal side as the performer, then that's a sign that you need to stop the note. It might mean that you need to take a better breath next time, but never hold a note out to the point where it starts to lose its quality. That's too long, know when to retire, know when to hang up the spurs. All right, so let's now move on to the second portion of our work. Here we go, we're gonna start to count. Now, again, we are in 3/4, 3 beats in the measure, the quarter note will get the beat. So we're going to count this in 3 to start with, and then we're actually going to go back again and count it again in 6/8 to show you the different options. So we're going to be counting here on 8th notes 1 and 2 and 3 in. All right, again, if you're not comfortable to sing, then simply just count the rhythms on a single pitch. If you are comfortable or ready to work, then try to also sing the notes themselves. Here we go, let's get started from the top. All right, one measure for free, and then we begin. Here we go. 1, 2, ready, and count. 1 and 2 and 3 and 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 1. Now, you could hear in there in that measure 10 and 11, what we just worked on a minute ago, it is a little squirrely when you're counting in one versus the other. All right, now let's jump again back to the top, but this time, even though it is written in 3/4, we're going to change over to counting in 6/8. 6 beats in the measure, the 8th note will get the beat, so we're going to be counting 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. For our patterns, 8th notes are going to get 1 beat per count, and for our quarter notes, those are worth 2 beats, so those will be counted as 2 of our notes. So let's start again from the top. Same tempo, same everything, just a different number sequence. Here we go. From the top, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, ready, and count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3, 4. So there again, you can see that in different places, the measure feels a little bit different just on the way that we're counting this. So what this really means is that it's not so much going to be difficult necessarily for you to play this, but as a performer, you can choose the way you want the style and the sound and the music to come across to the audience, simply how you're considering how you count it on the page. So that may seem fairly subtle, but just because it's only in your head doesn't mean that it's also not going to come through the horn. So keep that in mind. That is a skill that we will see in subsequent etudes as well. So now let's jump to our third and final section. Let's play this top to bottom. As always, this is a performance, so get your performance mindset ready to go. We do not stop. We do not go back. We don't have time for regrets. I want you to play your absolute best, sound your best, and again, as always, throughout all of these etudes and anytime you play, I want you to think one way, sound one way, play one way. So make sure you're eliminating all those variables and all that weirdness. Let's get to work. Let's perform. Here we go. Top to bottom. Now, as always, there are going to be little things you may not like. I personally have a little bit of spit in the horn. That's just the way it goes. As a performer, you do not get the luxury to crumble if something doesn't go perfectly. So always play your best. Make sure you're working on anything as hard as you can, but be confident and comfortable with being in a performance scenario as much as possible. So Again, just to recap, guys, I hope you all gained some value from this. I'm excited to see you throughout these other etude books. Be sure to check out some of the other videos coming out. As always, if it helps out, give us a like, throw us a comment if you have any questions or ideas that can help you further. Give us a subscribe, and again, check that notification button if you want to know when more of these are going to be coming out. I'll see you next time. Get to work. Have a great rest of your day.